Plug it in. Just plug it in for a second. We gotta plug it back off. You gotta give something dope. I think we might even have to take off the fucking the that shit too.
Clock?
The clock, yeah.
Oh, so good.
So we'll just do it. We'll, yeah, it's a little more upbeat.
Okay.
It's Friday, bitches. Yeah, motherfucker. I go hard knock. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. That are treated, we get tricked. That are bitches, we get tricks. It's a hard knock life, yeah. I'm about to do the show. ADHD Friday, what you know? About to split another fucking show for that ass. Everybody wants to bounce on that ass. Yeah, we got Chichi on the fucking keys. Yo, he's a new fucking Alicia Keys. Yeah, got fucking Shetty on the mic. One more time. Let's do it here for the show. Donate to our Patreon. We give a fuck about what you guys want to hear. We're about to drop another scope show, so please don't shed a tear. Yeah, hard knock life for that ass. We don't care. Boss another show for that ass. How you dare? Motherfuckers tell me what to do. Cheech and Machete doing a show for you.
That's a marathon, bro.
What's that?
This day.
Oh shit! 4 shows, bro. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing on a string at Burger King.
I think they're getting better and better too. I feel like we're warming up.
Really?
Yeah.
I think we're cooling down. But welcome to the
Oh,
show, guys. This is Machete here, and I'm here with my sidekick Cheech.
and I'm Cheech, and I'm here with my sidekick Machete.
Welcome. Plug in the other one too.
Oh, we need both.
Yeah, we need both. Oh wait, plug in the other ones. Like yeah, put that one on the other side. Yeah, put the Mevo on the other side. Oh no, idiot!
Oh
You
fuck!
could have did both of them like that. Look at.
What are you talking about?
You could have just had the other one on that.
Oh
Like idiot.
shit! It
Idiot. Oh, it's
worked.
still going.
Nice. I don't know
Nice,
what happened.
bro.
I was quick.
That's true.
We're back.
Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, I think I have enough battery to run this right here. I get a hit. I get a fucking text message right from Yoshi.
Okay.
So Yoshi
This is your
texts me.
tease that you've been teasing.
This is what went
Okay.
down. So Yoshi essentially texts me. He goes, "Is do you know this guy?"
Mhm.
Right, and he sends me an article from Deadspin.
Okay.
Now, back in 2012, right,
Mhm.
when I responded to a Craigslist ad for casual encounters,
Yeah.
and I went ahead and Miss Connections showed up, and she was my anyway. Yeah,
She was your first.
she's my and last. So Yoshi sends me this article, right,
Yeah.
and it trips me out because it brings back all these memories of being on Craigslist selling crack. So
Ass
sen-
crack.
so no, for real. I'm still in school. I'm about to graduate,
Mhm.
and I'm just like
So how old are you at this point?
I am 42.
Wow.
No, no, no. Let's see. 2012, I was 30.
You're 30. Fucking young and fucking full of cum
Yeah, young, dumb, full of fucking rum.
and cum.
So I responded to a Craigslist ad for a podcast, and it turns out that I was at ESPN.
Oh. Is
I
this
know.
pre Eddie Ift or
This
post
is post
Eddie?
Malone.
Post.
This is post Eddie If. This is in the Eddie If days with Jim Jeffries.
Oh.
So this is 2012 is like we're 2 years into talking shit.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. 2 years into
Mhm.
talking shit. Anyway, so I talked to the dude. It turns out the producer's a huge Jim Jeffries fan.
Mm.
He loves his fucking. I fucking love him. He's great.
What do you think about Eddie?
He didn't say anything. So, but we didn't even get into it because Eddie's is not well known as Jim is. So, we're there.
Mhm.
I get the job. I'm the
What are you
first,
doing?
and I'm an audio engineer
Mhm.
for Grantland, which is a spin-off of like one of ESPN's sister podcast shows, produced by the co-creator of the 30 for 30 shows and a bunch of other. He's like a great sports writer. He used to work on Kimmel. He's executive producer on a bunch of shit. Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons. Yeah.
So Bill Simmons, he's a Boston guy, great fucking writer. Talk about a great. He knows how to speak very
To
eloquently.
get his Bourdain.
How dare you, son of a bitch! In any case, did we hit record on the thing? Did you record?
It's red.
Okay, cool. That's what that matters.
Is it going?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I don't even remember if I pushed it on.
I know me either.
Days.
It's a marathon. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I get hired. I'm the first guy they hire, and this guy named Harlan hired me,
Mhm.
and I'm like, cool. Then they start talking to me a little bit. They don't like the fact that I work on other podcasts. They
What
don't.
do you mean?
No. They brought me in part time, and at the time, I'm pretty sure because
How part
Disney.
time?
I was working twice a week for them
For what? An hour?
for about 3 hours each day each time.
Okay. So what? Do they expect you to fucking do nothing else?
Well, I don't know what they expected, but they didn't expect me to have. I think maybe I didn't have the bragging down right, so I was trying to like humble brag. But when you humble brag on the wrong way, you could come off like a fucking douche.
Were you saying like, oh yeah, I got all kinds of shit going on. I'm very busy. In fact, I don't really have time for this weak ass show.
In so many words.
Yeah,
Not-
that's what you did, right?
Well, no, you know what?
You're like, have you
They're
heard
like
of
they would.
Eddie?
So all right, so they would say, for example, they would go, "Hey, bro, what'd you do this weekend?" And I would be honest. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I went to the AVN Awards." And, and they're like, "Oh," and then one of the dudes is like,
Why?
he's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, I was just doing a podcast over there," and then he's like, "Oh." Dude, he's like, and they would just say these jokes, broy jokes. Like, I think you're getting too big for us, bro. I don't know if you can work for us anymore. I just didn't make it. I didn't.
You're dropping names like Jay Davis,
Yeah,
and Michael Costa.
I know. I'm just like, what the fuck. And
I hung out with Michael Costa last night. It's pretty
so
dope.
they hire they hire another dude, and they're like, hey, we hired a guy. And at the time, they're like, they don't know what's going on with audio. They're
They
using
hired another engineer.
another guy. Just they have the in-house ESPN producers, but they brought out one outside guy, which was me, the first dude. And I was suggesting them, look, you switch to these microphones instead of lavaliers because it's a talk show, so we want to keep the talk show format. And then, sure enough, a week later, the shit arrives. And I'm like, holy fuck! Like,
they did it.
they
They're listening.
you listen to me. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So they're buying shit. They're getting new stuff for their studio. Their studio's legit as fuck, and it's dope. But they have all these on staff video people. The video people don't understand audio as well, so they bring in the audio engineers to do the audio.
Yeah.
So they hire this other guy. He's working because they're bringing on more shows. They're not just a sports network anymore. They're pop culture networks. They start bringing on shows like, girls in hoodies and, fucking watching Prince movies or something. There's another fucking all these cool little pop culture. There's
random stuff.
Yeah, about online. What is it? Reality, like the reality TV show, like recap shows, and there's some doing some good shit. So they're like, listen, we need to bring somebody else in, and his name is Joe Fuentes, and they're like, okay, so this guy, he saw the opportunity and he saw where I was lacking, and all of a sudden I would come in, there's new gear, and I'm like, who ordered this? They're like, oh, Joe ordered that,
Fuck.
and I'm like, fuck, dude,
Joe's fucking
Joe's killing.
getting deep in.
Joe takes over.
You fucking. He took over.
Joe takes over, and now Bill is in love with Joe, and Joe's is Bill's right hand man. So much so that they have a nickname for him, Podcast Joe.
Oh my
So
god!
he
And what are
shouts at-
you, fucking piece of
I'm
shit?
I'm a fucking I'm out. So
Wow.
so then now
So Joe is fucking. You were fucking going half half, and he was going whole whole, and he fucking deep in there.
he just
He got.
he out hustled me, bro. That's just the bottom line.
He probably was like sweet talk. Oh shit.
Yeah, no, scary business. Hold on. Keep talking.
So Joe fucking came in as a classic high school romance situation. Ernie was playing like hard to get, thinking like, oh, I got all these other options. I got side bitches for days. And Joe came in and he's like, I'm Mr. Reliable. I know what's up, and I'm gonna be only about you. And that's how he whittled his way into fucking Bill Simmons' heart. Indeed, he did.
Exactly what happened.
And it leaves Ernie fucking just back with shreddy lips.
Look, I mean, it's not. It's a classic case of fucking. somebody wanting the job. He was more broy. I was fat. I am.
It
I'm.
was
I was out of shape back then, and it was not a right fit. They were just
yeah.
too inside, too broy for me,
Oh,
right?
and they were probably like way deep into the sports game,
Yeah,
and you were
I
just
didn't care.
like, whatever.
I remember one time like Kobe came in, and I know
You
who
were too
Kobe
cool
was.
for school.
I was.
Yeah,
Like Kobe was in, and
that's your
Magic
go-to though.
Johnson.
You like being too cool to school.
Didn't work for them.
No.
They want people to be like, oh my god, KD's in the fucking house.
Yeah.
So we did a fucking few shows. I worked with some cool people though. I got to meet some of my big heroes,
Hmm.
and it was fun working for them in that time. Larry David, came in the studio.
Wow.
Louis C.K. came in the studio. The big fucking names. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They're huge. This is like at the beginning of Grantland shit. So, in any case, I'm on super super part time, where it's just like, oh, we'll call you. We need you.
Yeah, I think I
And
remember this. Yeah.
so whatever. So podcast Joe's killing. Now
Hmm.
something happens in maybe a few years after that where Bill Simmons talks shit on Roger Goodell. Now Roger Goodell is the commissioner of the NFL.
Hmm.
Something was going down with domestic violence at the time where something was happening with Ray Rice.
Yeah. So what, this is like 3, 4 years ago or something.
Totally. So he fucking said Roger Goodell really botched that shit. He
Yeah.
fucked up and he should be fucking reprimanded and he shouldn't be the commissioner. Then ESPN goes, wait a second, you can't say that shit because Roger Goodell and the NFL is a big part of this organization. It sends a significant amount of business to our channel,
Hmm.
and you have to respect that. But it sounds weird that why don't you want to be criticized? Why
You
you
think you have your own talk show and you think that it's about being open to say what you want. This
But it
is your
was not.
platform, but you're
Exactly.
really not. You still work
You
for
still work for Disney,
ESPN and
Disney,
Disney, and they're fucking homies with NFL, of
yeah, of
course.
course,
So
God fearing
even if
Christian,
you're Bill
fucking
Simmons, who's fucking as big, one as big as you can get and talk,
exactly.
he ain't big enough.
So they give him a slap on the wrist. Say, don't do it again.
Yeah.
You know what he does? He does it again.
Same guy. You went after Goodell again.
Goodell again. On another talk show, they fired him.
So he's off ESPN.
He's off ESPN. So he goes off ESPN and he ends up he's a free agent.
Hmm.
Now with all these streaming platforms and stuff like that, HBO picks him up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Any given Wednesday, right?
Hmm.
And then you're
Short lived.
you're right, very short lived. But they kept him on staff, and I always wondered why. And they came out with that documentary on Andre the Giant.
He was involved in that.
Yeah, that was his project. That's basically him bringing 30 for 30 into the HBO world.
Oh, okay.
He fucking murdered it. Anyway,
And this just happened. This just came out. What?
totally. But The Ringer has been in effect for a solid 2 years, 2 3 years, and I got an email from Podcast Joe.
When did you stop working with them? Because you haven't been working with them, all, like
Yeah, so I would say about 2014. I would get called
Joe was
once.
fucking in deep
Yeah,
in there.
dude, he was killing it. He was crushing the game. He probably hired some new people. I don't know, but I'd cover people if people went on vacation. Just hey, you want to pick up a few hours
You were
here?
the backup.
I had a pretty fat deal that they kept on like honoring.
Mhm.
I had a minimum. I think it was a 4 hour minimum. So if I come in for one show, I get paid for 4 hours.
Mm.
It's fucking brilliant. It was
Yeah.
great. I was like, of course I'm gonna go back because you guys are honoring my old deal. I love
Yeah,
it.
but you were the side,
I was the
dirty,
side
dirty
side.
hoe that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
fucking called up when they
totally.
desperate to
Ah.
fuck.
But see, so
And
then
you fucking just went in there and get that money.
this was like, you know,
What are you gonna do?
brown man, get your money.
Get your money, man.
So this is all gonna come full circle in a second. So just please indulge me.
I'm
I'm
indulging
fully
it, man.
indulgent. So I'm like, okay, this is fucking crazy, dude. Like this guy hustled me. He wanted the job, but truthfully, I don't want to work in sports. I mean, that's just like
Yeah, you don't
it's
really
fucking
care about it
gay.
that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sport is dumb. It's all rigged, whatever. So that was that. I was like, good riddance, whatever. I get a fucking email from Joe Fuentes, almost to brag, almost that Bill Simmons took him from ESPN, and now he's the main producer at his new project called The Ringer.
Wow.
This is a huge fucking conglomerate now. I mean, not huge, but it's like it's pop
That's
culture.
another HBO series, right?
No,
Or what is
The
that?
Ringer is a podcast network that Bill started.
Oh, really?
Yes,
And he's the main producer.
he's the main
of it.
producer.
And what did he email you? Under what pretenses did he email you?
He
Say,
said,
I need to borrow something or
he
what?
goes, if you need any extra hours, bro, let me know. I got
Ew.
a new gig here.
What a cunt.
And I was just, you know what? I just kissed the ring, bro. I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I can. Because I really needed it. And, I was just like, you want to stay in good graces and stuff.
Yeah, why burn the bridge?
And you know what? He brought a lot of writers with him, too. He brought a lot of, like, over from ESPN and Grant. He brought them over to the Ringer and employed them. So that he
You
stole.
mean Bill did?
I mean, Bill, yeah.
Not yeah, yeah.
No, not fucking Joe. Joe was just
Oh,
one of the.
you're saying he's not the only person that he brought with him, so
Exactly.
it wasn't that
Yeah,
big
it
of a
was.
deal.
I mean, but
Calm down, Joe.
Yeah, he's fucking.
But
Yeah,
he
take it
emailed
easy.
you just to fucking
To
rub
rub
it
it
in
in my
your
face.
face. Did you get along with Joe?
I didn't.
You didn't.
It's
Was
not
he a
on the.
nice guy?
I tried to be nice, and I'm not saying he wasn't, but he was a little bit. He was a little low key arrogant. He was also Mexican,
Uh huh.
but he was more in shape than I was. Maybe a little more broy,
Yeah.
and he
And
was
you were a
just.
little more doughy.
I'm more dumb. Oh shit! Yeah, that's probably what did it.
Oh, so
But
you think you got along better with him,
a little bit.
and he kind of
Kissed his ass.
he kissed ass more.
Yeah.
He was just cool enough for school.
Exactly.
You were too cool for school,
Exactly. So
and you didn't get along. You guys
I mean,
didn't vibe.
come on, if you
He
really
was just
think
kind
about
of a
it,
douche.
he took over my like he was like trying to because we're working together. I had my badge, my ESPN badge that I could scan to go into the building. He didn't have that yet, and I had to take him to the person to go get his badge. And he's just like so. I like
you brought him in.
you know what I'm saying? Like so then now it's
then-
just like he
Then he's fucking your girl.
take her. There's plenty of hoes out there. I'm telling you. So that happened.
Uh-huh.
He emails me, empty promise, doesn't hit me up.
Oh
But
really?
then he does.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, it's December. Are you going to be in town? All of our friends are going out of town.
Timeline this. Was this last year?
This yes, it's like no. This was two. This happened twice,
Okay.
and it happened in the year of our Lord and Savior, 2016 in December, and in 2017
Okay.
I covered for
So
a
it hit
few
you up
shows. Hit me
twice.
hit me a few times, but yeah. So that's I've worked. Last time I worked was like 7 months ago. There's a freelance engineer, no big deal. It's just a fucking. Well, they have a procedure. They have all this stuff, and he's trying to.
You're just there to push buttons.
No, yeah, but they have protocol, and he's like trying. Joe's like he's bragging. He's like, yeah, me and my girlfriend, we're going over to Singapore. And we're gonna take a little
really?
vacation. I'm just like, oh, nice, bro, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, well, here's our procedures. Here's how we do things. And I know you haven't used some of these programs, but
Oh.
and I'm like, no, I'm
What
like,
program was
hey,
it?
I didn't know. It's some new shit. I was like, fuck. So these guys, like, whatever. I'm like, I'm bowing down. I'm like, yo, do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel good about yourself. Do it because
Yeah, I already feel bad.
because I'm already a piece of shit, you motherfucker. You can't take
You
a
right?
piece of shit. Yeah, I 8 miled your ass straight up. So that was that. He works at the Ringer, and honestly, he's probably making some good fucking cheese, bro.
Yeah.
Probably making 150,000 a year
You think
plus.
so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you a fucking lead producer on a fucking podcast
Is
network?
that
as
legit though? Maybe he was fucking blowing that up.
No,
No?
dude. Bill Simmons would get sponsors like Subway,
Mhm.
Miller Lite. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, but maybe he wasn't really the producer, more like the lead sound guy or some shit.
No.
But he told you he's
Maybe
producer. You
no,
know?
no. Everybody
Trying to make
reported.
him-
Everybody reported to him, and he implemented the systems. What more do you want?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, because they were all the same systems from Grantland, and I was like, oh, you're the one who
Did this?
you're the when you made this whole packet up. I get it. It's
Yeah.
okay. And I still that packet and I use it to this day. So whatever, you know what I mean? It's no big deal. So I worked with some of the other producers there, a lot cooler guys.
Yeah.
Joe was just not cool.
I think he saw you as his rival, and he was like happy he
100%.
squashed you,
He did, bro. But
and he wanted to gloat a little bit. So
so he did
he did.
until today.
Till today, what happened? Today you got a
This
message
is this
from
is
Yoshi.
this is on Saturday. Last Saturday. And this is coming
Is
out a
this
little
your
bit in the
opportunity
future.
to gloat?
Indeed, indeed, and I'm gonna lean in
I love it.
because this came in on Friday, the same day Anthony Bourdain passed away.
And
Left
we
us
know
early.
you were
God,
deeply affected by that.
Indeed. So it says Bill Simmons obtained a restraining order against ex-producer Joe Fuentes on
What?
Deadspin.
What
On
the
Deadspin.
fuck?
So
Restraining order.
this is Friday, 6:03 p.m. This is filed to the Ringer. The Ringer has obtained
Wait,
a restraining order against former audio producer Joe Fuentes, who was fired from the company on April 25th. The restraining
oh
order,
shit.
first reported by the Blast, was granted this morning. It was it legally bars Fuentes from coming in 100 yards of the Ringer office,
Oh my
Ringer
god.
employees, and or guest stars like David Chang until until hold on, until the hearing takes place in Los Angeles Superior Court on July 2nd. So I was like, what
What
the fuck?
does it say? What he did?
Yeah, the Ringler's application, which you could read below, was filed yesterday on behalf of Bill Simmons. The document details Fuentes' increasingly erratic job performance over the first 4 months of 2018, which included bungling the edit on Simmons' two-part podcast series with Kevin Durant, leaving Jeff Goldblum hanging over a technical issue. After Fuentes was fired, he apparently returned to the Ringer offices where he had a loud phone conversation and asked a few employees what they do if they needed to hide something from the police. End quote.
What the
I know.
fuck?
And laughing, and he pulled out a wad of 20s. All right. Despite being told to stay away from the offices, Fuentes apparently tried to come back several times over the past few days, beginning last Saturday. He lied about meetings he had at the offices and told security guards that he had a new job, and I quote, making millions. The director of security wrote to the building's operation manager on Tuesday and said Fuentes repeatedly attempted to enter the building. Quote, although the reasons for his terminations were not discussed, it appears that Mr. Fuentes had been acting unusual and proclaiming himself to be a god. End of quote. He also suggested
What the fuck?
the Ringer CEO Jeff Chow seek a restraining order if Fuentes made any threats. Simmons wrote Fuentes an email later on that day uh,
What?
expressing his concern for him, mentioning his inappropriate remarks Fuentes made, informing that he has to involve law enforcement if Fuentes kept trying to approach Ringer employees without his consent. Fuentes did reply and says, "I just want to say sorry. I'm sorry." That's what he replied with.
Wow.
All right. The exchange would be a phone call Fuentes made to Tanya I'm sorry from this. All right. The exchange would be a phone call Fuentes made to Tanya Hubbard, where he told her, "You're fucking hot, and you're going to come work for me." That's what he said. I know. You should go, and we should go on a date because I would treat her like a quote queen. Uh, the request, the request for this restraining order is also under several counts of employees Fuentes' erratic behavior. He apparently attempted to call, text, connect on Snapchat with a dozen former Ringer employees, not me, who we fear that he will retaliate and come back to Sunset Gower Lot to do harm unto our employees or himself. The application reads. He went on a fucking crazy Twitter rant publicly, and they have all the Twitters here,
Uh-huh.
basically saying the most craziest shit. I'm a leader. I follow no one. Saying shit like I'm the most important. I'm most importantly, I'm fucking cute as fuck. In fact, I'm Joseph. I'm the King of Kings. I am home. So
Dude, this fool
I
went
know.
full Kanye, bro.
He also has another one that says, "I love you. I'm the King of Kings. I'm home." Well, this is another one. Te amo. I'm searching for my home. I found it. I'm done suffering. Now I'm the only one. He's saying this on his Twitter, and his Twitter's deleted, by the way. I try to look him up just to kind of like go sucker. But he apparently They have I see the fucking letter that Bill wrote, or the email that Bill wrote to Joe, but he had a nervous breakdown, dude. Something happened,
Wow.
and he went fucking maniacs.
You know what you do?
What's that?
Send him an email and said, "I know you lost your job. I got some part-time work if you need it."
Shit, isn't that crazy,
Dude, that's. I mean,
dude?
literally,
This
he went
dude,
crazy.
yeah, he went crazy, dude. And it's the I mean, that got picked up by Deadspin. That's a huge, like,
Yeah.
in the realm of entertainment. Deadspin is a pretty reliable source. It's a
Uh,
very fucking. So this episode is sponsored by Deadspin. No, but I really would just, my heart goes out to him in some way, honestly,
but
because,
then your
but
heart
then,
is also lifted.
yeah, but then also I don't have a heart anymore. That black spot where my heart used to be. You know what? I'm actually glad he fucking got his comeuppance a little bit, because he was pretty arrogant. I'm not gonna try to kick a man while he's down completely.
But if you see him,
If you see him,
kick
kick
him.
him while he's down, please. And no, but that's the truth. I don't wish harm on anybody. He legit had a mental breakdown,
Hmm.
and I think he legit fucked up, because I remember that podcast with the two-parter with Kevin Durant. I remember that getting some attention on Twitter, and because he fucked up. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So he made a fucking actual flub that
but that could happen to anyone.
totally, instead of being a noble person and taking it on the chin, like
Yeah.
everybody else who lived a life lesson, just say, "Oh, I fucked up." He decided to not do that
Well,
and make
then he kept
excuses.
going and he did something else, right? He fucking left Jeff Goldblum hanging. You can't do that.
You can't do that,
No, you
dude.
can't do
You
that.
can't, bro.
And I guess that was the last straw, so they fired him.
They had to.
Um, is that you think that? Do you think they was already acting like a little bit nutty at that point, or
Hmm.
was that it? Do you think they just fired him because he fucked up one too many times?
Yeah, I mean, when you fuck up over, yeah, when you fuck up that big, it's a big fuck up. Like, you get arrogant and you don't pay attention and you literally mess up a pretty big fucking deal.
Twice.
Yeah, totally.
That's enough.
It's enough. It's yeah, they're pretty simple instructions. You record, you edit, you post,
Hmm.
right? So the fact that he couldn't, like, you have to know your shit on a certain level to get audio. I mean, he's the one who wrote all the shit that all the systems they had in place were installed by him. He's the one who recommended every single piece of equipment that got fucking ordered. He was the guy.
So if he
So if he
fails, it's
fails,
all on him.
it's all on him. And like, he was always this calm dude. He was low key, like, arrogant. He
Uh-huh.
wasn't an outlandish, arrogant person. He was
Mhm.
like, but he had this very, like, yeah, this fucking, uh, you know, this thing this pretentiousness about him. It
Mhm.
was really like he thought he was better than you, but he without saying it. And it was just weird because, I mean, if you don't like me, there's something wrong with you. Cause I'm dope as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, he was arrogant.
So look, it's just, look. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna go out of my way to go and appease this person. You know what I mean? I'm just not.
Especially now because he can't help you.
Yeah, I can't help me at all. So, I'm sure. The thing is, he was poaching other people. Like David Chang is one of the biggest fucking guys they just partnered up with this show called the David Chang Show,
Yeah.
and it's a food show that the Ringer partnered with. It's huge. You don't try to poach the biggest fucking food critic that you have. Like, you don't go to the restraining order wasn't
Oh,
what.
he tried to do that after he got fired, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's insane.
it's ridiculous, dude. And
Plus, who is this guy? After he loses the job, he's basically no one at
he
that
is no
point,
exactly. That's the whole fucking point.
and completely lost all credibility with
Lost
this fucking
exactly.
incident.
He basically, that's what we're hiring him here.
That's what I was gonna say. What's next for
I
him?
know.
Is he gonna be the third member of ADHD?
He's welcome to the show, Joe Fuentes.
Woo!
I'm not here to shit on. Honestly, I swear to you, like, I know this sounds like some sort of thing
That you're shitting
whether
on
I'm
him,
shitting on him,
and
but
you're
it's
gloating.
true. Yeah, but it's
But
true.
you're not here to do.
I'm not here to do that. What I am here to do is to shit on him, to gloat.
Yeah.
No, but on some real shit, I don't wish harm on anybody, dude. But it really is sad that
If harm has to happen, you're glad it happened.
I'm
to
glad
him.
it happened to him, because that's what it always goes down like that in the DMs. No, I hope he really finds a way to kind of accept responsibility for what he's done, and not try to pawn it off like he failed up and landed on his feet, because we know that's not the case. You can't. I'm not saying you can't get a better job than the Ringer, but no one's gonna want to hire you after this whole debacle, no doubt. I really thought he had his shit together, and he really seemed like he had it together on the outside. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I mean, I did send out an email to some of the producers out there saying hire me. Look, nah, heard you're hiring. No, no, I just said no. I just told, because look, I'm doing my own thing, and I'm glad I did it. And I don't have the commitment to work at a studio like that, because I'm running my own shit right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Bill Simmons, get at me.
get at me, DM me. Nah, yeah, I'll probably shoot him an email too at some point. I just want to just reach out to him and say I'm down. You hired the wrong person. You fuck. Nah.
It's like I told you years ago. Don't cross me, motherfucker.
It was cool though. I gotta admit, one of the cool things when the first time I went back onto to the Ringer lot after the whole thing happened at Grantland, ESPN or whatever. The first thing I fucking when I saw Bill, he's like, "Oh, Ernie, I need a little more Ernie in my life," and I was just like, "Yo, dude, I can't believe you remember me, bro. Like that's crazy."
Why the
Suck
fuck
your
didn't you
dick.
just hire me? You fuck.
And then like there's another guy, Chris Ryan, one of the writers there. He goes, "Dude, what's up, man? It's good to see you." And there's another dude who worked another NFL podcast. Um, he remember like they're
There's
basically
people that knew you.
yeah.
So
So even over the newbies that were there, like the newer producers, even though obviously they've grown to be pretty tight homies now because they worked together at that place. I was like, I knew them before you. Actually, I
mm,
knew them before Joe.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it was just, and not like that meant anything, because it seriously doesn't. But it just
but
made me feel
feel
good.
good.
It
Yeah,
made me feel good. I
yeah.
was just like, look, guys,
Man, you guys late to the game, bro.
yeah,
I've been there.
I've been dope, and just the fact that certain people couldn't get on board with my flyness, and I get it.
Yeah,
But one thing they won't get,
is that Joe was better than you. That's why I got the job.
karma sorts people out sometimes, guys, and if you just work hard and you're just not a douche,
Yeah,
you can go far in life. Look at me, for example, and
yeah.
just killing life, crushing it. And if you work hard enough, and when you're nearly 40 years old, you can have a moderately failing successful business, just like your fella.
Moderately failing.
You know, just this can be yours,
All
guys.
of this.
You know,
You too could be gloating at a former colleague.
you know what?
That's what life's all about.
It really is.
Wow. Waiting for other people to fail.
Because you know what, someone that's basically how people get jobs nowadays. It's not being better than the next guy. It's waiting for the guy in front of you to be so incompetent that congratulations,
Mm,
you are now the guy.
waiting for someone to lose their damn mind.
Yeah, exactly. So Bill Simmons, get at me.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. And Yoshi sent that to you?
Yoshi sent it to me, and I was like, I couldn't believe, because he was so pumped when I was working for Grantland. He's like, "Oh, I think that's fantastic. You working for Grantland?" So I was like, "Oh
Hmm.
shit." So I told him, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you know this guy with the article?" And I said, "Holy shit, yes. He's the one who took my job at ESPN." And he goes, "Next time you see Bill Simmons, tell him you picked the wrong guy."
Yeah,
And I'm like,
totally.
"Yeah, it's so weird, man." So
I have a similar I have a situation that just happened, but I think you know about it. Whatever.
yeah,
It feels good. It does feel good
it does,
to
doesn't
know
it?
that they fucked up. Now, this was much smaller scale, but
Katie, you fucked up.
Katie fucked up and chose the wrong podcast. I know you're out there doing Sopran Horse right now,
Yeah, I know.
and fuck that show.
Fuck that
Sopran
joke.
Horse.
Yeah.
We're starting our own show.
Sopran Bros.
Sopran Bros is exactly what I was gonna say. Ernie's
Sopran
never seen it.
Bros,
We
dude.
totally could do it.
Oh,
I'd watch that
fuck.
shit again.
Damn,
That show's good.
Sopran Bros,
That show's
dude.
fire.
Katie, we're coming for you.
Sopran Bros.
All right,
I'm down.
I'm down too.
All right, let's do it. Tell me when you watch the first episode.
All
I'll
right,
watch
so
it.
what was your similar thing on a smaller scale?
Oh, somebody I I'm got hired. Well, I was offered a job to do some music for a show,
Yeah.
and they went with somebody else, and that guy kind of shit the bed,
He shot the bed. I
and
heard.
then they heard some of the music I did, and they were a little envious.
They were just like, "Can we get your guy in?" I remember that.
No,
That's amazing. Does it feel good?
does feel good. Does
Indeed,
feel
bro.
good, and I kind of did it on purpose.
I know you
I
did.
went out of my way to show
I
them that
know.
they fucked up.
And it worked in fine style, dude. You were like already packing your stuff. I was like, ah, never mind. No, no,
I'll
no,
get it
no,
out.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah,
it
yeah.
out.
I just hold on real quick.
Well, cause I knew I was like, they picked some guy like fresh out of college, just like,
Yeah,
man, I've been around, bro.
that's right.
Been around.
Been around
Fucking Joe
Corona.
Fuentes up in this bitch.
I've been around Corona, homie. You might not know Crown Town,
I've been
Puro
in that.
Corona.
I've been in that music game, though.
Oh yeah. Nah, I know they did fuck up, and they're gonna pay
Regret it.
for it. They're
Yeah.
gonna pay for it. I think they're gonna have to pay premium if they want any extra fills, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna Phil
Extra
Collins.
feels.
But thanks guys for listening to the show. We really appreciate you sending in all your fucking feedback.
We're expecting some dope content. So get at us,
Dude,
producers.
there's going to be an awesome fucking Can I Kick It out this month. I'm actually pretty stoked about.
We're recording it
yeah.
right now.
No, we're not. Come on,
It's gonna be this
it's gonna be easy,
episode.
bro. It's gonna be easy. We'll figure it out. But this month we're gonna get back on the fucking June. Before the end of this month, you can have a dope ass fucking Can I Kick It, and we're actually stoked about it because we're doing something extra special. It's not just your normal Can I Kick It. We're gonna be kicking it in some litness test places. So be sure to go to our Patreon, donate enough to get that tier, and you can stream these live. You can watch this stream live, uncut, uncensored, like our penises. See, look at that. That's fucking in there. For if
Uncut, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So we appreciate you guys keeping the lights on here, literally.
Mm-hmm. Catch us in fucking next week. We're gonna be back.
That's right. So if you're like, yo, homies, I don't have any feria homes. I thought I was gonna donate, but I didn't have no money, bro. Then you know what you can do? So you can share this with your friends easily. Yeah. Easily. That's simple. It's a click away. Share it with your friends. If you're like, yo, I had a homie who fucking. If you have a gloat story where some karma shit went down,
ooh, I'd love it. I love gloat stories.
I'd love that too. So
honestly,
like, send that in where somebody who was hired over you and they shut the bed. I want to hear that story. We'll revisit this in a few episodes, and we'll come back to this. But if, like I said, we'll just respond and be interactive if you don't have no money because we need help, guys.
Yeah, actually, that's a great thing you can do. Fucking send us a message. Email us adhdcast@gmail.com.
Let us know that we're doing all right because we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. So just let us know what the fuck is going on with that. Making sure that we're putting out good content for you.
Speaking of content, I want to put a song at the end of this episode. Fucking one of the BCP covered songs.
What?
Throw that at the end. Tack that on.
Let's do it. Let's tack it, baby.
So what you're gonna hear is fucking. What do you want to hear?
Yeah, now we'll hear one of the fucking Bell City Players' dopest covers ever.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you. If you, like I said, you don't have any money, just fucking interact with us. Maybe give us even a 5 fucking star rating and a fucking comment on iTunes. Dare you even take a few minutes if you don't have any money? I mean, shit. We all know Cody is fucking in Never Neverland right now, and he donates nothing.
Nothing. He doesn't.
And he doesn't even comment nothing. Nope. So don't be Cody, guys. Is what we're saying.
Don't be Cody.
Don't be Chodes, Alamodes. But yeah, listen to this fucking dope ass Bow City Players jam, and we'll see you guys next fucking week. Later, skaters.